You might be here kind of reluctantly. You found your way to this video not really excited to be looking at sleep training resources, not really having dreamed of this being something that you would love to teach your child. Am I right? Yeah, I know. I understand, and I'm hoping that you find some hope by the end of this video and ways to be able to gradually sleep train your child using the chair method. Hi, my name is Sarah Bossio, and as the lead certified pediatric sleep expert and owner of Your Zen Baby Sleep, I have helped hundreds and hundreds of families walk their children through the process of learning independent sleep in a gradual way using the chair method. I am honored that you have found me and are trusting me as a resource to help your child learn the same skills. I wish nothing more than to be able to shout it from the mountaintops that sleep training does not need to equal cry it out. When we are teaching our child a skill, we do not have to pick one way to do it, right? We can choose many different ways. Children learn differently. There is not just one way to learn a skill. So when we have this rhetoric of sleep train your baby, just throw them in the crib and leave and they'll learn how to sleep in one night. Not only is that not taking into account the way that one individual baby can learn, but it doesn't really support the fact that not every family feels comfortable with it or wants to teach that way. This is why we have several different methods of sleep training and why many families choose to do something more gradual called the chair method. I'm really looking forward to explaining the method and how you can walk through it with your child. The reason why we want to wait for 4 months is because that is when the circadian rhythm is established. Our circadian rhythm is our body's 24-hour biological clock. It dictates sleep and hormones and digestive system and immune system, cardiovascular system. Basically what it means is that developmentally the body is ready to learn the skill of independent sleep. And before then, we're not really sure if babies can pick this up. So we'd like to make sure that the learning opportunity is present and ready. And we're gonna set our sights aside for the 4-month period before we start to establish the chair method. What about your environment? You can choose to do the chair method in your room if you are room sharing with your baby, or in their nursery as well. What I want to make sure is that your room or their room is a blackout environment. I do not want to get crazy with you. Don't believe the myths that it needs to be totally dark so that you can't see your hand in front of you. It actually will kind of be contradictory to the chair method process, and you'll kind of understand that as we go through the description. I do want it to be dark so that it induces the melatonin we know is present when the circadian rhythms are turned on. However, it doesn't need to be cave-like dark. So just make sure that during the daytime, we can reduce any light from the sunlight coming in, and at nighttime, we are making sure that our blackout curtains are closed and we have no night lights on as well. In terms of the crib, we are keeping that free and clear of blankets and bumpers, stuffies and pillows. We have our room temperature set for 68 to 72 degrees, and our child is sleeping without any swaddles, and you have them in a sleep sack and comfortable pajamas. This is the thing that's probably going to be the biggest difference for most families at the beginning of the sleep training process. You will be really switching up your bedtime routine. At the beginning of the routine, I want you to feed your baby first. I'm also going to have you shift your bedtime routine about 30 minutes earlier. Really want you to start this at around 6:30, maybe 7 o'clock the latest. The reason for shifting it earlier is that most people have their bedtimes a little bit too late, number one, and number two, you need to give your child extra time because you are no longer going to be rocking or feeding them to sleep. It will probably take them longer to fall asleep because they don't have the skill of independent sleep is what we are assuming. So we are going to feed them first, then we are going to do a bath if it is a bath night, and then move throughout the rest of your routine, such as pajamas and books and snuggles. At the end of the routine, the most important thing to this process in order to be successful is putting your child in their crib completely awake. I do not want drowsy. I do not want none of that nonsense. They need to be wide awake so that they understand they are safe and that they are secure and that they trust that where they fall asleep is where they will wake up, and they will fall asleep and wake up, and this is their safe space now. When your child is placed in the crib, you can choose to leave the room. On your way out, you're going to turn the lights out. You'll turn the sound machine on, which should be white or brown noise only. No oceans, no rain noise, no lullabies. Set to about 50 to 75 decibels. And just wait and see if they're fussing or if they're whining. Just kind of leave them. If they are fussing or whining, then it's okay. Give them space. If they start to cry, I want you to go back into the room and sit down in a chair. If they go right to crying before you even make it out of the room, go right to the chair and sit down. And that's probably what is more likely going to happen. I want you to already have the chair set up. So what I'm picturing is the crib is here and your knees can touch the crib, right? So you have access to be able to touch the baby right through the crib rails. And you are going to be completely present for them the entire time. The purpose of the chair method is so that you can be a physical presence, and they're really used to you being here or even co-sleeping, right? So this sometimes is a preferred method for families who are co-sleeping, who are really nervous about making the transition from having baby right next to us to having a separation, right? So you will be able to have your hands through the crib and provide a lot of physical comfort. However, we are not going to be able to be laying down right next to them. You will be sitting in the chair until they fall asleep. But what does it look like as they are falling asleep? Let's dive into all the possible scenarios. I want you to really pay attention to what your baby needs in that moment. Ground rules are, it's really best to not pick them up. That can be really confusing to the baby, right? Because they're used to being picked up and being rocked and held to sleep likely. And when you pick them up, they're going to expect that that will happen. And when you have to put them back down, it's going to be really upsetting and they might cry even harder. So if having your hand on their belly or rubbing their cheeks seems to calm them down, then let's try that. And let's use that until they are calm enough where you can see if you can remove that support. If having the physical contact actually seems to be more agitating to them, I want to see if you can remove that, if that seems to calm them down more than the physical contact did. Let's see if we can incorporate some verbal, right? Maybe singing a song that usually calms them down. Maybe saying, I love you so much, it's okay. Possibly even just doing some deep breathing. There's this concept of co-regulation where our babies co-regulate with our breathing. So when you take really deep breaths in and blow it out, sometimes our babies can co-regulate with us. I know people are gonna roll their eyes and say, really? They're gonna be losing their minds. Trust me, I understand. I've done this with lots and lots of families. I know the process. I need you to feel really grounded, even though you're going to feel very anxious through this, because your baby is going to vibe off of you, bottom line. You need to see what your baby needs in that moment, aside from pulling them out and pulling them back into bed with you. You've made this decision to sleep train, likely because you co-sleeping or you rocking or you doing whatever is no longer working for you. And this is the method that you want to use to teach them to fall asleep because you feel better being right next to them. These are the rules and this is the process in order to get them to sleep in a more gradual way. I don't want you to have your phone. You can have your AirPods in and have a podcast going. Sometimes that's helpful to distract you if the crying is really agitating. I want to level set some expectations. They likely are going to cry, and to be honest with you, for many babies, the crying actually is longer than if you did a less involved method like timed checks. So because they see you and because you're right there, that sometimes can be more frustrating for them than if you were actually out of the room and we're doing check-ins every 2 minutes, every 4 minutes, etc. So if you're sitting there and you did it for bedtime or a night or two, and you think, oh my gosh, this is really, really hard, I'd like you to possibly explore my other videos on sleep training using time checks, because that might be a method that could be better for your child if the crying seems to be too intense or it's something that you're not comfortable with. Less involvement sometimes bodes better for many babies. If you decide that this is a method that is working really well, we'll sit in the chair until they fall asleep at bedtime. If they wake up in the middle of the night, we go back and we sit in the chair and we do the same process until they fall back asleep. And then every 3 days, we move the chair a little further away. So chair at bedtime for the first 3 days, chair in the middle of the night for the first 3 days, and then we move chair to the middle of the room for days 4 to about 6, and then we move the chair to the doorway, and then we move the chair to the hallway. And the hallway really is just you being able to talk verbally. So they can't see you, but you'll be able to reassure, hey, I'm here, I can hear you, right? This is also a time where sometimes I suggest to families to do time checks, so to actually switch to another method so that you can pop in and pop out and check that way. At this point, you should be done with the method though. When you have moved the chair further away, the key is that we are no longer physically intervening. So that's how we scaffold from possibly co-sleeping or rocking to sleep, so that really close physical contact, to now the physical contact next to the crib, to now there is no physical contact, but we still are here 100% supporting, right, in the room, but just using our words, and then we're gonna slowly move further and further away. We will see that our bedtime will improve first, and then secondarily, our nights will start to improve, so the overnights will get better second. Usually about the second week of sleep training is when our naps will start to come together. So when we are sleep training at night, we do wanna use the same method for nap time. And then if there are any residual early morning wakings, those take a little while to solve themselves. So it might take a couple weeks after, just because they're stubborn and kids are trying to balance where all of the sleep is coming from, so don't get too frustrated with the early morning wakings. If you are still feeding at nighttime, so you're still nursing or you need to give a bottle and the pediatrician is still recommending this, yes, you can still do that. Sleep training and feeding are synonymous. I still see this happen for children ages 4, 5, sometimes 6 months old. And if this is the case, it is something that I like to work with a family one-on-one with. So I like to recommend feeding times specific to their individual schedules at daytime and kind of place that feeding in the middle of the night, specifically based on their daytime needs. So if that's a suggestion that you would like, I would love to talk to you one-on-one. There's information about how to contact me and get on the phone and do an Ask Me Anything call in the description, and I would love to hear from you. If you have decided to venture into the world of sleep training using the chair method and you have some questions or you are trying to troubleshoot and you need my advice, scroll down, leave a comment. I would love to guide you and answer any questions you may have. On your way down, leave me a like so that I know this content is helpful for you. Subscribe and turn on notifications because I want you to know when I publish my sleep content. I don't want you to be tired anymore. There's no reason for that. And once you sleep train, there still might be things that you need help with. You know, kids are always jumping through sleep milestones, and that's why I'm here, to make sure that I hold you through each and every one of them. As always, from my living room to yours, thank you so much for coming today, and I can't wait to see you next time.